torpedoes fired at us. One of them hit the starboard side.
Let's go to that. After all of this firing and all, that's when, and you still hadn't sunk, that's when the torpedo boat, as I understand the story from interviews time past, came alongside. Is that true?
The torpedo boats?
Yes.
Yes, they did, and they continued firing at our stretcher bearers, firefighters, anything that moved, they fired at. It made no difference. They were merciless murderers, executioners, in killing American sailors on the high seas in international waters, flying the flag of the United States of America, which we had every right to be there. We were under orders to be there, and we did our job. But the Israeli government did not want that, and I'll guarantee you our government didn't either, because they recalled all rescue aircraft to come to our aid.
Let's talk about that. Was that recall before or after the torpedo attack?
That recall was within 12 to 15 minutes after the attack started.
All right, so I understand from interviews past that there was a communique that you got out to an aircraft carrier. What was the name of that carrier?
There were two carriers. One was USS Saratoga, that was commanded by Captain Tully, and USS America, commanded by Captain Engen. And we also had a admiral on the USS Little Rock, which was fleet commander at that time of our battle group, Admiral Geis. And the first airplanes that took off the USS America were nuclear tipped. They were carrying nukes headed towards Cairo. And we were within 120 to 160 seconds of nuking Cairo. If our ship would have sunk, Cairo would cease to exist even at this time.
Because the plan, as most understand it now that have studied this, was to sink the USS Liberty and blame it on to the Arabs. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Blame it on the Arabs. There's no survivors to tell the truth, to say what happened. And Pastor Peters, I must say that when the aircraft finally quit their murderous assault, we saw on the horizon three MTBs, mortar torpedo boats. Then and only then did we understand who was attacking us, because we saw the Star of David on their boats.
Well, before we get to that, then another aircraft carrier sent out help. But
yes,
those planes were not nuclear tipped. They were coming to help you, the USS Liberty, and they were called back. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That came from Captain Tully from the USS Saratoga.
Who called them back?
The Secretary McNamara of the Secretary of Defense. And Captain Tully relaunched his aircraft, and they were also recalled by, this time, I believe, President Johnson. And he said he didn't give a GD if our ship sunk and every man aboard was killed. He's not going to embarrass his ally. Now, the point of this conversation is we had no idea who was attacking us at this time. Now, if we didn't know who was attacking us, how did Johnson and McNamara know who was attacking us? We were set up by our government to sink, blame it on the Arabs, and the Middle East would have a footprint in it a whole lot different than it does now.
All right, now, here comes the torpedo boats. Now you know it's the Israelis. Correct?
Absolutely.
Tell us what happened.
Well, there was a person on the bridge that tried to make communications to the torpedo boats that we are American and friendly, and of course our flag did get shot down. We put up another flag, and then another flag. The last flag that went up was 7 by 13. The wind was blowing across the deck. You could clearly see it was an American ship. And by the way, our ship was identified by the government of Israel as American and friendly way before the attack. But they said they took us off their war table and forgot they were there. Now, a school child in elementary school, well, let's put it this way. A school child just getting born could figure out that, there's no way that could happen. They knew who were they trying to murder, execute, and they kept on doing it, and it was lethal. When they shot our torpedo at us, 5 torpedoes, one instantly blew to bits 25 American young men, and then they continued to sink or shoot at our ship.
Well, now, shouldn't that ship have sunk with, how big was that torpedo hole?
Well, there's different sizes, but the size we kind of go by now, which is pretty much the norm, is like 37 to 24 to 25 feet. And a lot of people can say, well, listen, I can turn my house up and stick that my house inside that torpedo hole. That's how big it was.
And the ship should have sunk, shouldn't it?
Absolutely should have sunk. Only by the grace of God it did not.
Phil, I'm going to ask a personal question. I hope you don't mind me interrupting you. I'm just watching the clock, and I want to get points made. Do you mind me doing this?
No, sure, go ahead.
Were you praying at the time?
Absolutely, I was praying at the time.
Were any of your shipmates praying?
Everyone I've ever talked to was praying. They were either praying or they were begging for their mothers.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Lord heard those prayers. The ship didn't sink. Go ahead.
No, it didn't sink. And I've talked to many different people, survivors, good friends, people that I trust, and in fact, a friend of mine, his name is Mark Lynn. We have a radio show every Saturday, and Mark is a very Christian, loving man. He's got 8 children and takes care of them very, very well, and a loving wife, and he knows what kept that ship afloat is the hand of God.
Amen. You mentioned the radio show on Saturday. Let's just get that out right now, and let's put your website out right now.
Oh, is it okay to do that?
Oh, you bet. I want it out there. I want everybody to hear it. Tell them how they can hear more about you.
Okay, let's do it. If everybody's ready, I hope they got a pen. It is USS Liberty .wordpress.com.
USS Liberty .wordpress.com.
That's correct, Pastor Peters. And our show comes on every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock Central, and it would be 9 o'clock Mountain Time. And it is very simple to get on. It's just republicbroadcasting.org.
So that's the Republic Broadcasting Network.
Yes, and you can get on, and you'll see it's called the Liberty Hour. Now, we called it the Liberty Hour because of course, the circumstances, but the show is a 2-hour show. It's very interesting, and we get so many calls. In fact, I have to brag just a little bit, and I'll shut up for a second. But when Mark and I started this out, along with the help of a good friend, if it wouldn't have been for him, Ron Kukul, this show would never got started. But we started out with 500 hits on the website a day. Now we're up to 8,000 a day, which is about a 250,000 a month.
So the word's getting out, isn't it?
The word is getting out, and it's going to get out more with your website too, because I know you're going to hook to us.
Amen. Now let's go back. Torpedo hole, the ship's not sinking, but orders are given abandon ship. Is that correct?
Orders were given abandon ship. I went aboard the starboard side, cut what life rafts were available. Anything we could cut loose, there were only like 3 that would float. The rest of them were either burnt or shot. And the ones that we put over the side to put our most seriously wounded in, the Israeli gun men would have none of that, and I guess they took great pleasure in sinking 2 life rafts